Hello everyone, it is Mr. Stubstep and we're back again with another value discussion, this time on the Sword and Shield set, Champion's Path. So my plan, since I just finished X and Y, like always down below, I'm going to have links to my playlist containing other value discussions, as well as a link to this Google Sheet, and as well as timestamps if you want to skip right to the graded card discussion. I'm doing Champion's Path today, and then I plan on doing Vivid Voltage sometime in the future, probably next week. And then after that, I'm actually going to start going into Black and White, let Sword and Shield have some more time to develop, and then once Black and White's done, I'll probably do a couple more Sword and Shield and kind of continue that pattern, because I noticed when I did Darkness Ablaze, like fairly soon after it came out, there just wasn't a ton of data to go off of. So, it's been a little over 6 months now, so it gives time for these cards to kind of enter the market and see what happens, especially since grading takes so long. So, going over some administrative data as well as the spreadsheet itself. So all of this data is as of 23 May. I know this is kind of far removed from when the date of this video actually posting, but you know what? I'm having a little bit more free time now again. I'm in finishing my last class for this session before my summer classes. I'll have a couple weeks. So, and I'm getting a little ahead of the game. I added a new color for color coordination, since I don't know how to look up the best offer values anymore, because the method that I used to work, that one website, as well as looking up the source code, those don't work anymore. But luckily, because Champion's Path is so frequently bought and sold, I didn't have that issue for getting best offers. And then release date with this 24 September 2020. Doesn't it feel just like yesterday that Champion's Path was released? And it's already been so long. Like, my goodness. 73 base card total, and then 7 secret rares. A very, very reasonable set to collect all of it, besides the 2 big hitters. But so, left column, we have the card. If it's italic, and very self-explanatory, if it's italicized, that means I own that card. And if it's in red, that means it's a card that we'll be talking about today. So you'll notice that almost every single one of these cards is italicized except for one. It's because I'm in the process of collecting the master set for this, and I have every single card, including reverse holos, except for one card. And you'll see the one card that I'm missing and why. For rarity, very self-explanatory. Raw on TCG Player is the marketplace value on TCG Player rounded down to the nearest dollar. For grade, I try to find a PSA 10. CGC for modern cards has been a lot more popular, but PSA is still, unfortunately, the top dog, despite them only accepting, the $300 and higher per card orders. We have sold price. That is the last sold price on eBay, rounded up to the nearest dollar, not including shipping. Date of sale is when that listing or auction ended. And then PSA 10 population, the number on the left is the number of 10s, and the number on the right is the number currently registered with PSA. And obviously, there's probably a lot of Champion's Path cards at PSA that people sent in bulk. So who knows, these numbers might skyrocket, by the end of this year. So starting out, we're skipping a lot of regular Vs. Sorry, I don't feel the need to go over them. I'm sure if you've opened any Champion's Path, you pulled, dozens of these. We have the Hop full art. So personally, this is one of those full arts that I feel like a lot of people have pulled, and they're generally not happy to get it. Because, Hop, he was one of the weaker characters within the Sword and Shield game. I don't know much about him in the anime. He did kind of have a coming of age, but by the end I liked him a little bit better, but he was still just kind of eh. But his PSA 10 sold for 125, so not too bad. And it's not a bad looking card. Like, it's a good looking card. For Hop, it's a clean card, I think. The Whale Lord V. I wanted to talk about the Whale Lord V because for some reason, Whale Lord is just like, it's a collectible Pokemon for some reason. It is like the biggest, I think, like area-wise. I don't know if it's the heaviest, but it's definitely like the biggest area-wise. And I would put it in the low tier for collectible Pokemon, actually. Like, majority of Pokemon don't fall in a tier at all. You have like Charizard and Pikachu in the top tier. Maybe you can include Lugia, and then Lugia is like in the high tier, and then you got Evolutions in the high tier. I would put Wailord in the low tier. I don't know why, but I've seen a lot of Wailord cards go for higher than just other cards that you'd think would be about the same. We have the Venusaur V, a Cantonian starter, $200 in PSA 10. I personally think this card is hideous. I always picked Venusaur when I played through Generation 1, or like that was always my first pick. I always picked Grass. But this card, like the 3D art, like no hate to the artist or anything. They're just not my favorite. Like, I'm sure if you grew up with these types of artworks, like, you appreciate them, but I don't know. I personally just think this card's really ugly, but it's whatever. Still sold for a respectable amount. We have the Galarian, and yeah, there's only 9 PSA 10s, but I imagine a lot more will come back. We have the Galarian Cursola V full art. I personally think this is a really cool concept for a Pokemon, and this is my favorite full art within this set. There's really nothing else special about it. CGC 9.5, which you could equate that condition-wise to PSA 10. Definitely doesn't hold the same premium, but that's kind of the general rule that people go. I haven't seen too many people do a direct transfer and it convert well. I've seen it, but yeah, that's just the saying around. $35 in a CGC 9.5. As you can see, not a ton of these cards have actually come back from grading it or just have been graded in general. And then once you look at the bottom, you'll be like, oh my goodness. We have the Gardevoir V full art, another really good full art. I think this is a little overpriced, but you know, there are Gardevoir collectors out there, so PSA 10 sold for $270. It is a beautiful card. I actually like the VMAX more than the full art within this set, but that's fine. We have the Dreadnought VMAX. I will admit, there are a lot of VMAX cards that just look good, but Dreadnought, unfortunately, just falls into that place where, like, yo, this is just like a wannabe Blastoise or something. Like, I get it. I actually had a Dreadnought on my team the first time I played through Sword and Shield, which, yeah, it's fine. I like turtles, that's why I did it. But PSA 10 sold for $119. Nothing too crazy. The Gardevoir VMAX, PSA 10, $96. This one does have more PSA 10s, so you could maybe say that's why it sold for cheaper. Also, you can be looking at the dates on these as we approach April, May, and then even June coming up very soon. Actually, yeah, next week when this posts, it should be June timeframe. We are currently on a downtrend, so a lot of these cards maybe back then sold for a ton, especially like the Charizard cards at the bottom, and then they're just kind of on a downtrend. So keep that in mind as well. But I still think this is valuable in just seeing what cards are potentially collectible, like in the long run. Like I'm talking long game. Like I'm not selling any of my stuff. I'm buying, I'm opening, I'm collecting. We have the Dreadnought VMAX Secret Rare. VMAX Secret Rares I think are really cool. I think VMAX Secret Rares do a lot better than like the full art trainer Secret Rares, but that's just me. PSA 10 only sold for $73. Surprisingly, like the VMAX Secret Rares, I don't know if people just don't like the Secret Rares or because of the lack of color or whatever. I personally like Secret Rare Pokemon. I think they look really nice. But I think people just like the color in the VMAXs and the full arts because they sold for more. I mean, granted, they did sell for earlier. Like these sells are from May, so these are after the downtrend. So maybe they're the same price. Maybe, who knows? But I just think it's interesting because then you have the Gardevoir VMAX Secret Rare, which I personally think is a beautiful card. I was very happy to add this to my collection. Only $85 in a PSA 10. If you think a card like this, it's not super hard to pull, but comparatively it's hard to pull. You'd think the 10 would sell for more, but there are 117. It is like, I think the third highest graded card within this set. Yeah, so there's that. And then we get to the two big dogs or big dragons. We get the Charizard V, $525. Number, or at least recently, as of the date of making this video, the highest sold Champions Path card. It's crazy how far this card has fallen. I remember, at least like before these cards came out, you know, they were selling for like $1,000 to $2,000, and then now they're down to like the 500s, which is still expensive, but it's a lot more. It's like a lot more of like an expected modern PSA 10 price for like a chase card. Like when you're in the thousands, everyone's just like, are you serious? Like this is a lot more reasonable. Is it a little low for a Charizard card? Yes. And I personally think the Charizard V, this is the only card that I don't have in this set, in case you didn't know. And it's the most graded card within the set too, by 50. But I'm sure there's a lot more. I mean, my freaking Charizard VMAX is at PSA, so that definitely going to be adding to those numbers. But let's just say there is no lack of PSA 10s here, so even way, 30, 40 years down the line when Champions Path is nowhere to be found and the sealed product goes for a ton of money, it'll never be at the levels of base set and stuff because that scarcity is just not there. But it is still a really like desirable card, and because the hobby blew up so much around this time, I think it'll be a card that people will remember. So who knows, maybe the demand will meet this and maybe it will go for more. But that's just my prediction. And we got the Charizard VMAX. Beautiful card. I wish I pulled the Charizard V at the time, but this is still a beautiful card. $500 in PSA 10. And both of these actually grade pretty well. Like well over 50% for both of these in a 10. The V and the VMAX. So pretty respectable. Now we'll go to some tidbits down at the bottom. So we have some averages here. Honestly, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, and Darkness Ablaze because I did those so long ago when I first started doing these types of videos. But the Champions Path one's kind of interesting. You can see how many cards are over $1. Definitely the smallest amount, but it is this way by far the smallest set. V's averaging a decent amount, actually. Full Art's high average, so I think that Gardevoir helps out a lot. VMAX, not too hot, but then the secret rares, because you got 2 Charizards, I mean, it's pretty hard to beat. And then a master set recently sold for $619, and that included, reverse holos, a few promos, all that stuff. Booster pack is about $7, which honestly, that's about expected. Elite Trainer Box, I saw this was as 110 on TCG Player. I feel like you could get these for slightly cheaper, like on eBay, maybe like $90, $100, maybe 90. But I guess recently on TCG Player, they've been selling for 110, and then there's no booster box for these. So overall, people hate on Champions Path because either they didn't get the Charizard or they were tired. Like it was like the first big set that a ton of people were like scalping and all that stuff because it was a special set. It has Charizard. Elite Trainer Box has Charizard on it. But I feel like there's a lot of mixed reviews about this set. I personally enjoyed the set. It has Gardevoir, which is one of my favorite Pokemon. It has 2 really cool Charizard cards, even though I'm not a huge fan of Charizard. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a fun set. You do get holos in every pack, which, that can sometimes rub people the wrong way. But I don't know. I thought it was a good set for collectible tiers. In the low tier, I'm going to put the Gardevoir VMAX Secret Rare. I think it has potential. The Wailord V and then the Hot Full Art. I don't know. I just think in the long run, those cards aren't too bad. For mid tier, we have the Gardevoir Full Art as well as the Venusaur V. And then at the top tier, we got the 2 Charizards, the Charizard V, the Shiny, and then the Charizard VMAX. So the Charizard V Shiny, I think it's one of the best cards that's come out in a long time. I know there's also mixed reviews on that card, but it's a really beautiful modern card. I'll give him that. But yeah, it's pretty much all I have. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Like always, or I'll say again, I have a bunch of good stuff linked down on the bottom if you're interested in more of these types of videos. I've done every Sun and Moon set, every X and Y set now, and then I've done every Sword and Shield set up to Champion's Path. I'm planning to do Vivid Voltage next week. I've also done promos, McDonald's promos, alternate art promos. Like I've done little bits on all of these. Now, granted, a lot of them might be outdated, but I have data on them. So if you have any of those in your collection, you're curious just to, maybe look at a few of the cards that you have, who knows, it might be worth something. But yeah, that's all I have. If this is your second video of mine, consider subscribing. If you like what you saw, leave a like. If you don't like what you saw, give me some feedback on how I can improve, or just give me a dislike. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I wish you guys the best of luck in your collecting endeavors.